Welcome to Africa's first ROG arena. Woo!
And here we are for the second round of the ATK Pro Series, the one make series that puts all drivers from all over the world up against each other to find out who is the best behind the wheel of this incredible Mercedes-AMG GT3 car. My name is Ernest Page, and I'm joined by Daniel Haynes, my man with the foreign accent, but based in South Africa, usually rooting for the opposition. But this time, the two of us are working together, Dan, in Laguna, Seca, all the way over stateside for this, the second round of what has become a very competitive and contested championship, the ATK Pro Series.
Yeah, we are indeed here for round two. Monterey, California is the situation we're at, and it's the battle of the desert. And more importantly, that dreaded corkscrew corner. We'll look out for turn 8. I'm sure we'll see plenty of action there. It's what this track is most famous for, as well as being a very hard track to overtake. So when we go into qualifying, it's going to be vital to try and get your car at the front of the grid, because you're not going to be making a lot of places during this sprint race. But I could be proved wrong. I was a little bit at Kailami. They're making passes all over the place. So they find ways to make that happen. We'll see if that's the situation here today in round 2.
Indeed, Laguna Seca, historically known as a circuit where drivers like to do hot laps and get the fastest possible time. Certainly a circuit many of us have spent some time on trying to get those hot laps going, but not the most favorite when it comes to wheel-to-wheel racing. But will that be different today? Because, as we've mentioned many, many times, Dan, the ATK Pro Series is this time a one-make series.
Yeah, and it's very fitting that actually this one make has the track record here as well. And it was set this year in the 4th round of IMSA by Daniel Juncadella in the AMG. So it's the fastest car in real life around this circuit, and we're going to see a whole grid full of them. So there are no complaints that the AMG is not a quick car at Laguna Seca. It is. It's the quickest car out there.
Oh, well, definitely so far. A couple of quick names out there and a few names that are very familiar as we will get our championship standings coming up very shortly. And there you have it. Zaire Essa currently circulating at the moment. He's got 106 points. The drivers are about 15 minutes or so, or about 14 minutes or so through their qualifying. We'll be joining them shortly in qualifying. Zaire Essa currently out there in 3rd place. George Boothby, unfortunately, not joining us today, Dad. That's a bit of a pity. I'm quite disappointed that he won't be here, but Harry Spires, however, will be here, and Ietzi, the Italian, also out there at the moment, logging in some solid lap times. Tariq Adam will be here today, but Bashir Jadwat won't. Philip Minard, though, someone that you've tipped to be one of the guys to watch, is out there, and we're hearing some very good things about his current pace there.
Yeah, he's already showing his times in HLQ right up there, in qualifying in the first sort of 15 minutes or so. When we jump to track, we'll see them. But no surprise, and we've got a few dropped cars today for various reasons. South African drivers affected with power cuts, and English drivers such as George Boothby no doubt actually enjoying the Formula One at Silverstone, I would imagine, today. So they're using that drop round as an opportunity. Remember, every driver has one drop round in the season, so their points won't be affected at the end. They can take this round. However, you never really want to rely on it so earlier on in the season. So it'd be a bit of a disadvantage for those that have missed this round going forward.
Well, someone that certainly won't be using this as a drop round is Zahir Issa. As mentioned, he is out there at the moment trying to cement that championship lead. And if he can get away from George Boothby, then already he'll be right up there. And a couple of other drivers will be fighting it out with him. I'm now on board with Minna, just watching his tight lines, and Minna looking very good out there. Dan, you did mention that although he hasn't been sim racing for that long, he's got a lot of time in AC, Seca Corsa, and holds a recent win over our first place man there, Zahir Issa.
Yeah, he's come on leaps and bounds in ACC, I think helped by his understanding of setup changes as well, and putting a lot of time into working on setup characteristics, and it's his chosen car in other series as well. There's Mercedes-Benz AMG, so a little bit of a head start going into this one-make series, but you've still got to be there, and you see right now he's just put his car on provisional pole ahead of his rival in Zahir Issa with a 1:22.222. It's quite a symmetrical sort of time there, isn't it?
Yeah, he's making it easy for us to remember. Zahir Issa currently on a 1:22.332 and not going much faster at this stage. So could we see Zahir Issa on the front row of the grid, but not in first position? That would be quite unusual with his dominant performance at the last event. He led from start to finish and was the fastest in qualifying. In fact, his qualifying time, Dan, if you remember, was the fastest time set that entire weekend.
Yeah, right at the death as well, wasn't it? So he's got some time here to pull it out, 14 minutes to go. He won't be concerned. He's got his banker in there. We've got Harry Spears, just dropped his countryman in George Boothby, not attending this round, to see whether he can be the fastest Brit for round 2 here at the desert.
Yeah, yes, see the Italian currently right up there in third place at the moment. Spears, as we were told the last time, now in fourth place. Tariq Adam, the other South African, in fourth place. We saw Power mixing it up with the boys. Lots of racing with him at Kailami round 1. And then further down, we see in seventh place someone that's also new on the grid, and someone that's actually standing in for someone is Elof, who is a young up-and-coming driver and someone that has apparently got incredible pace underneath him.
Yeah, he has indeed. I think he's a pal of Philip Minna, and he's an indoor SA karting champion. So as a guy to be drafted in to join late on, he's a very quick guy, very quick at hot lapping. We'll see how he fares throughout the race, but he's instantly put his car into the top 10, so that's a great showing.
Yeah, and this top 10 over here is a very, very competitive top 10. We'll see that as the racing progresses. And if you're not familiar with the Pro Series, this has been a championship that's been running for quite a few seasons now, and for the first time this year, the ATK Pro Series, powered by Mercedes-Benz, has become a one-make series, which has seen the racing become incredibly close. In the first round, which we had a couple of weeks ago, the drivers were absolutely wheel to wheel against each other, and for whatever criticisms get leveled against single make racing, certainly I've been a fan of it for many years. It does lend itself to incredibly tight motorsport, and that's what sim racing really has become. Incredibly competitive, incredibly tight motorsport. And let's not forget, Dan, that there's a big prize waiting at the end of the checkered flag and also at the end of the season.
Yeah, exactly that. I mean, a huge prize available. There's cash prizes per round, so the top 10 are in for a cash prize, and quite a chunky one if you're in the top 3 as well. And then just as a reminder, the fastest 3 South African drivers, this is an international series, but being hosted here in South Africa, the fastest 3 South African drivers will be going to the final at the ATK Arena, along with the other ATK Pro Series events being hosted this season. And then they'll fight it out to work out who really is the fastest South African sim racer. So a bit of an extra incentive for those Saffers on the grid.
Yeah, plenty Saffers on the grid, and unfortunately, the most competitive of our UK counterparts, that would have been Boothby, unfortunately not joining us today, but he will be back for the following round. He's just sitting this one out, as you mentioned, Dan. Probably decided to take a hop, skip, and a jump over to Silverstone, which I'm sure is just around the corner for anyone in the UK at the moment. In fact, if you're a motorsport fan, you're probably at Silverstone today, so I don't blame him for wanting to go check out the racing. I know that we're trying to schedule the event today so that everybody can get to that Silverstone Grand Prix. Apparently it's happening this afternoon, Dan, I've been told.
Yeah, you're the only one that won't is not eager to get there and watch it. So this stream will finish 5 minutes before the race starts. So the moment we exit, we can then spend the rest of our afternoon sat on our couches watching it. If you're not as lucky as the likes of the UK drivers that have managed to get to the track, but it's going to be a good one, I think. F1 Silverstone, absolute classic, record attendance, 430,000 will be there. I've heard it's going to be pretty hectic, so we get to watch some very enjoyable desert racing in a One Cup series that's going to be ridiculously close. I dare say closer than the F1 cars we'll watch this afternoon.
Oh, yes, indeed. I'm certainly sure they will be closer than the F1 cars we'll see this afternoon. But someone that is making sure that he's not too close is our first place man over there, Philip Minard. And lots of talk has been surrounding that young man in the paddock area. And now finally he's starting to show that pace with a solid first place so far, with just 10 minutes to go in qualifying at the moment. Of course, Zahir Esther will have something to say about that. He's currently just 1/10 of a second down, out on his lap at the moment, not able to be within striking distance. Nice to see McCall in the ATK powered car there in 6th place, much higher than before. We saw him in the mid-pack at the last event, but now a solid top 10 position so far for him in 6th place.
Yeah, he jumped up. He just pulled that lap in with a 122.8, was in 10th. So good improvement there from Morgan McCall. Only 6/10 off our leader. It's very tight at the top, isn't it? You got the all the twos for Philip Minard, then Zahir Esther is only a 10th back. Then a further 10th for Simon Itzi in 3rd position. Harry Spears is almost like matched on time. I've got it actually matched on time for 2nd and 3rd place, which is insane. So it's only Itzy posted that time first is why he's in 3rd. So 3rd place is literally the same time. And then Tariq Adams rounds out the top 5 with a 122.5. So super tight as we'd expect. But as we said previously, this is an incredibly hard track to overtake on. It's an easy track to make a mistake though. So you want to capitalize on those mistakes. That's how you're going to make places. You're not going to be able to rely on yourself making easy passes here. This is not a Spa.
Yeah, I'm quite keen to see how the overtaking scenario unfolds here. And also the first corner of the circuit. I mean, it's such a tricky corner. It's so difficult to get right, even the best of days. And today the guys are going to be going through at the same speed in the same cars, going around that first left-hander. After that, of course, there's a whole sequence of corners that blend into one another. Some of them even looking the same as the previous ones. So drivers need to make sure that they line those corners up correctly. And as you see them going through this sweeping left-hander over here, there's a little dip on the inside of the corner for a little bit of extra grip. There's some camber over there, but it's an uphill struggle to go back through another left-hander and not run too wide as they make their way up towards the corkscrew. What a fantastic circuit. But yes, Dan, some overtaking opportunities today will be sparse.
Yeah, I mean, everyone tries to send it round the outside of turn 2 Andretti hairpin, and it's just like it doesn't work. But they'll try and pile in because it's wide and you can take a couple of lines. Doesn't particularly work. Turn 5 is another opportunity. Difficult corner, super late apex. Reminds me of turn 4 at Brands Hatch. You can make a mess of there. But ironically, the way you see most of the mistakes is turn 6. That little kink at the top of the hill. It's got a huge curb on the inside.
Oh,
if you hit that curb, it unsettles it. So and then the tendency to try and carry too much speed and wash out major wide into the sand. That's where we'll probably see most of the passes. It has been my experience in the past. The corkscrew, it is obviously such an infamous, famous corner, but there's nothing you can do there. It's single file and everyone's sort of aware of it. So it's quite spectacular with the sparks coming off these cars, and we'll get to enjoy it, but it is certainly nowhere near any form of a passing opportunity. So I'm looking at that kink turn 6 is where you want to try and force a bit of pressure, try and make them carry a bit too much pace, and then they go off and you can get them up the hill before you get to the corkscrew basically. But it's difficult. It's all about piling on pressure and capitalizing on mistakes, because there's no natural passing opportunity here.
Yeah, well, speaking of top of the hill, the section you're talking about over there, the dip, that sweeping left-hander that you've got to time perfectly. I can imagine the car's wheels banging into that corner on the left-hand side over there. as you go through it. And it's really a timing thing, isn't it, Dan? It's about absolutely lining the car up correctly. And if you don't line it up, if you turn in a smidgen too early, a smidgen too late, the entire corner is ruined, and you've either lost a lot of speed or you lost a lot of grip, because you find yourself now in the sand as we look at that corner now, and there you have it. Oh, running wide all the way there. There is a little bit of extra room on the outside, but it's not easy to use all of that up, isn't it?
Yeah, we'll see people in the sand for sure there. It happens all the time. Obviously, that nasty curb on the inside, which you have to avoid, but it's there for obvious reasons. Otherwise, everyone would just cut it. So it's looks so nothing on a track layout, but actually in person with the elevation changing and the importance of trying to keep that momentum up that hill, which is so steep towards the corkscrew. That's why you get so many mistakes through there. Get a few people trying to force their way through on the final corner as well. Look out for turn 11. That's another possibility if you have a good run down the hill.
Harry Spires goes into first place over there, Dan. As we're chatting, Harry Spires finds himself
2-2-2. That's nothing.
There's absolutely nothing in it, and this is what you get with One Make Racing. Philip Minard now chasing down that time as well. Will he be able to get it? Essa now finds himself in third position. Phil Minard is not up at the moment, but is ever so slightly. I mean, it's absolutely even as he makes his way towards the final left-hand of here. Such a tricky corner. You've got to exercise patience. Philip Minard does exactly that. It's going to be very close. His last time was a 2.55. His best time was a 2.22. This time, he gets
3.02.
3.02, just a little bit off.
Yeah, but he's consistent, isn't he? He's pumping in times there consistently. Here we have Zaire Essa in his new Cars.co's livery. So a sponsored driver from South Africa won that sponsorship after round 1. So nice to see Cars.co.za being involved with this series. And at the moment, Zaire Essa, their man, is on solid second row of the grid. I don't think he'll be putting a panic, but he's got time to do it. Can he do what he did in round 1 and pull one out right at the death with a bit of track progression?
Yeah, I don't really like the guys at Cars.co.za much, to be honest.
Oh, okay, right. We'll take that back then. We'll take that back.
A good bunch of guys. A big shout out to them. And Ashley Oldfield actually just won his race yesterday in the GR Cup. So I think they're going to want to repeat that today, get another win for the Cars boys. So Zaire Essa now officially backed by Cars.co.za, and that's a big deal, Dan. We don't see that too often in esports, where a big company like Cars.co.za puts out a competition saying we're looking for the fastest sim racer. Oh, as he runs a little bit wide in that spot we're just talking about, and gets behind someone that is arguably one of the most competitive sim racers in the country. He's won round 1. He's obviously in the mix here, currently running third. And just like his teammate at the Cars office, didn't have a good qualifying or didn't have a good practice, but came out with a win in the end. Maybe we'll see the same from Zaire, but either way, big moves happening in sim racing in South Africa, all thanks to ATK, Mercedes-Benz, the sponsors, and of course now Cars.co.za.
Yeah, it's nice to see. It's nice to see more brands getting involved, and it's no surprise they picked Zaire Essa to try and represent their brand going forward. Such a force in sim racing in South Africa. Very well known. Any sim racer in SA is going to know the name Zaire Essa, and he's trying to take that onto the international field as well as he starts progressing in ACC. I mean, he's known internationally as well at this point. But currently, he's got another South African in front of him in Philip Minard. And then the Brit on the front row of the grid. I'm going to enjoy this, guys. I'm going to enjoy this. Come on, Harry Spears.
Drink it in, because according to one of our producers, it's the last Brit we're going to be seeing on the podium today.
Well, they're going to use the admin
out incident as they get going and start us off. The front 2 drivers leading us off. That's Minard in second place over there. Spears in first position. And Spears now all of a sudden finds himself right at the front of the field. And it's always good psychologically, Dan, when you can prove that you are faster than someone that everybody might agree could be the fastest out there. So to beat Essa in qualifying for these 3 drivers, that's a massive, massive feather in the cap to be faster than Essa in qualifying.
It is indeed, yeah. Confidence boost for sure. And also helpful that you do it on a circuit where it is actually really important. So Zaire Essa qualifying 4th, maybe somewhere like Spa, wouldn't be too fussed about it, but I think he realises here he's got quite a lot of work to do if he wants to try and win round 2 and maximise his points. Also, there's a thing to be said for some very quick drivers having a drop round today, likes of George Boothby, and that's where Harry Spears wants to maximise those points when his rival's not in the race, just to pile some pressure on as they move on to round 3 next weekend.
I wonder if the Poms have their own little rivalry going on over here.
Oh, they do. I'm sure they do. Everyone, sim race is a competitive breed, aren't they? And you want to be the quickest in your country. So we've got a couple of Poms that are very quick. And we've got some very quick sappers trying to capitalise here on round 2 as well. Philip Minard looks like he's trying to make a pass already, going into the formation lap, but just setting themselves in, trying to maximise temperatures in their tyres, get their car in the optimum position as they possibly can. Very cold circuit here because it's a 5 a.m. start. So, yeah, they'll be trying to keep as much temperature in those tyres as possible.
Well, Spires does look to be falling back a little bit, but they've... Remember earlier on we said the top 6 are separated by just 0.2 of a second or less. And now they make their way to the final corner. Dan, final thoughts from you before we get this thing going?
Yeah, we're looking at Harry Spires hugging that inside, and I'm going to keep an eye specifically on Tariq Adams in 3rd place. I think Philip Minard will be happy to come out of turn 2 still in his 2nd position.
And here they come now out of the final turn onto the main straight. They're going to want to make sure that they get perfectly into position. It's all about who doesn't make a mistake here. Bauer watching the top 4 on. Behind that, he hits 6th place, making sure to check for any gaps. The lights go out and off they go. Eyes are all guys on the circuit at the moment. Yetzi and Bauer getting close. Essa going down the inside, looks like it out. And Essa sneaks in down the inside there, but so far, not many positions change. Adam gets in 2nd position, though. Spires in 1st, Adam in 2nd, Minna in 3rd place, and Essa watches on in 4th position.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was looking out for. Tariq Adams did indeed start from 3rd. It was a better position than 2nd place. That inside line's worth so much time. Managed to gain a position there. Philip Minard has dropped back, and then Essa stays in 4th position. So Philip Minard will be upset, but the writing was on the wall there, and now he's just see whether he can pile on a bit of pressure. So we've got the Harry Spears getting away on his own. It's exactly what he wants, though. Exactly what he wants.
They all go through the sweep, but Bauer and Schaefer further back touch. Bauer and Schaefer and McCall getting into a tussle further back, and we can have a look at that race going on there. Oh, look at that. Oh, no, McCall gets it out. Schaefer goes through. Bauer was started all this by going... And Schaefer and McCall collect each other and get moved all the way back down the order. That's what it takes to lose out here in the ATK proceeding.
Yeah, mistake there. Just a bit of nudge at the top of the corkscrew, and that's going to cause you spinning round, and that's what happened, unfortunately, to Morgan McCall. He's now going to be on a bit of a recovery drive. Inevitable action here on the 1st lap of the race. Here we go. There's the... Yes, there was a little nudge on the inside, wasn't it, on the corkscrew. Too many cars trying to go through there side by side. It's not going to happen, I'm afraid, guys. Yeah, one at a time there.
It looks like Elof got a drive-through penalty. So Elof got a drive-through penalty, and look at how far Schaefer is down the order now as well. Schaefer still elbows out over here, it seems, not willing to settle for that position, and now finds himself in 10th place. Cody Shedden also falling all the way down to 18th position over there after a bit of an incident with him as well. So there's been a couple of incidents, but nothing major. Nobody crashing into any walls or anything, just a couple of nudges and spin-outs here. But the front guys so far have been behaving themselves for the most part. And so far, Spears, I apologize, is still in 1st place. Adam in 2nd place. So well done from Adam there to get into 2nd place. And Minard chasing very hard. And if you look down in 21st position, you can see Elof, the gentleman we were talking about there, unfortunately finds himself with a stop-go penalty and 30 seconds added to his time.
Yeah, a little bit too aggressive, wasn't it, Tion Elof there? And then it caused a bit of carnage, which has caused a few guys to drop back, in the likes of Morgan McCall as well. So unfortunately, he's going to be slapped with a stop-go 30 from our live stewards from SIMGRID. So that's going to really put a hamper into his debut race here at the ATK Pro Series. Such a good qualifying session, and a disaster in lap 1, unfortunately.
Dan, do you think it's sometimes, and I mean, we've seen this, I saw this just last week with a friend of mine racing for the first time, when newer drivers in series start finding pace, it's not always a good thing that they use that pace at the front or in the middle or in anywhere where it's too competitive, because the other drivers are sort of used to working with one another and not making certain mistakes. Whereas if you're the new guy in the field, you might have the speed, but do you have the speed of the course of 20, 30 laps?
Yeah, and also on this particular circuit as well, Laguna Seca and like the likes of Brands Hatch as well, where you're driving so closely behind the car in front. Racecraft is vitally important, and there's a very different set of skills involved with racing with cars around you than just hot lapping. So Tion Elof is going to be trying to recover as best he can and then learn from this as he goes into round 3. And then a few other drivers, unfortunately, that are tangled up there as well, will be on a bit of a recovery drive. Our top 4 are all going along a little bit in a train, but Harry Spears is leading that train. So that's exactly what he needs to do. This is a 60-minute sprint race. We saw in round 1 that they just push it, and no need to pit. It's just flat out the entire time. So you've got to try and make something happen on circuit.
Well, at the moment, Yetzi is applying a lot of pressure to our 4th place man, Essa. And there you see the two of them going through the corner together. Essa with, of course, that Kazatsura livery over there. And the top 3 drivers are pretty much stuck together, but it does look like Spears now starting to eke out a little bit of a gap. Having said that, anything can happen. And at the last race, Essa made it clear that his tires were a problem at certain stages of the race. And could we be seeing more of that now? Because he said he did have to manage those tires over the course of the 60 minutes.
Yeah, there will be a bit of a benefit in doing that. I think the cold temperatures that we have here with such an early start, obviously we're in the desert, you immediately think, wow, that's going to be baking hot. But at 5 a.m, the desert's a flipping cold place to be. So I think they were starting on single-digit temperatures, and that's going to be a big benefit to them as they try and keep these tires in good condition. Temperatures might ramp up a little bit as we go through the race, but yeah, 5:15 in the morning in California, it's bright but cold.
Yeah, bright but cold with no sign of rain at this stage. We, of course, get that information via Assetto Corsa Competizione. And at this stage, it's sunny skies predicted for the rest of the race with 55 minutes to go. And there goes Morgan McCall and Jacobs. Morgan McCall now, after having a bit of an off at the top of the hill, now has to thread his way through. And remember, guys, here at ATK, we play seriously Morgan McCall having to do the same.
Yeah, he's unfortunately trying to fight his way back through, but he's doing a grand job of it, getting back a couple of places up into 12th position in the ATK version of that Mercedes-Benz, and we've got a car behind him, Silver going off wide. And yeah, that's where you're gonna. It's easy to make a mistake here. It's very narrow, and you can follow people off as well. I see that quite often.
Oh yes.
But there's no runoff. Once you get onto the gravel, you lose a huge amount of time. So
yeah. You're not going to necessarily crash into anything, but you will lose a lot of time.
Yeah, exactly that. Which is how I like it, really. It's a bit unforgiving. You deserve to lose a place when you go off, especially here in turn 6.
Dan Minard just made the pass on Adam, made it look easy. I'd love to see if we can get a replay of Minard on Adam, because...
Yeah, where did he do that? Where would that happen?
Through the sweeping section we were talking about, but it did seem like he just managed to get the run on the exit of the previous corner. I'd love to have a look at that again. And this has now allowed Kazatsura driver Zahir Essa to slot in behind Adam as well.
Yeah, pass already made there, haven't we? So we're coming up to turn 2, back where he was from his qualifying position. And Tariq Adam in 3rd place. And S is not far, so they're very, very tight between these 3. Itzy is not far either. Harry Spears is loving this, though, because as these guys battle, 2-second gap feels very, very nice here at Laguna Seca.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Spires, I apologize. Cody Shedit now. Wentworth, Cody Shedit. Looks like it. And that's the 38 car over there. That is Cody Shedit, just getting past the 554 car there, Wentworth. But yeah, if hopefully we can get that replay from earlier on. But these 3 guys over here, as you say, are making things very easy for Harry Spears in front over there. Spears now starting to eke out a little bit of a gap. And Spears also one of the drivers we spoke to that has such a high success rate. An interesting interview that we had with him, Dan, is that he prefers not to enter as many races. But when he does enter the races, he takes it very seriously.
I think that's. I never believe these guys that rock up and go, "Oh, I've had no practice," or yeah, all run of excuses. Because I think at this sort of standard, these all guys take it very, very seriously. And if they say they don't, I think they're just flat out lying, to be honest.
Yeah.
And they've got a lot of hours. Like, we're talking thousands of hours of ACC driving under their belt as well. So at this point, there's no such thing as arrive and drive. Because the experience carries you through, doesn't it? They've done thousands of laps.
Yeah, but he says the thought process is that instead of entering every single race, every single night, and every single league, he chooses one race, chooses one track, practices that track. And that's kind of, I like that mindset, because
that's exactly how I do it. I do exactly the same. I can't rock up and drive. I'm not as good. I'm not that good. I need a lot of practice first. So I like to pick something and then really prepare for it. So yeah, I'm liking that tactic.
But my question is, doesn't that apply a lot more pressure? Because if you're doing a race on Tuesday night on Monza and something happens, it's fine. I'll just race again later on this evening. But with this kind of pressure, there is the pressure to perform, isn't there?
There is, and you have some very, very lows, big lows, but you'll also get some highs as well, where all that pressure comes through. And there we have a mistake from Sean Scooter, and Morgan McCall puts his ATK up into 11th place. That's the mistakes that I was talking about earlier. The most common one you'll see of going wide turn 6.
Yeah,
and then if
exactly.
you're there, you can put your car back where it should be.
Now, Adam's starting to apply more pressure to Minna once again. And this little train of cars, they're separating themselves from Spears over there. We got Minna, Adam behind that. Zaire says Adam has a look down the inside. Minna covers the line. Adam now has to try to do the cutback. Many lines available through that first corner over there. At least a second corner similar to Kailami. But most refer to it as the first left-hander. And Minna Adam not get past Minna, but Minna certainly not having it his own way of taking.
We've got a few penalties as well. Christian Deploy with a 5-second penalty, and Schaefer in 9th position got a 10-second. So stewards are going back, looking at incidents and slapping a few penalties around. That's been upgraded to a 10-second for Christian Deploy. So 2 10-second penalties there, which is not going to be great for those guys. Yeah, I think, like you said, there's a lot of lines through turn 2. Here's the replay that we're looking for as he comes up. Obviously, got a better. That's the exit from turn 6 again. So I suspect all through the corkscrew they were.
Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness!
Replay, isn't it?
Yeah, that's Strauss and Wentworth.
Yeah,
that's
that was
Strauss over there. And
once you get to the corkscrew,
me.
you got to give up that place. It's finished, guys. Don't try and get it back there, because that's what happened.
Yeah, that was a textbook example of trying to do too little too late. It was over, and it was time to move on.
Yeah, it really was. Once that you got an opportunity up to the corkscrew, but then you got to get into your position and learn to just take it. So a few more penalties on its way, I imagine, on the back end of the grid to that one. Harry Spears has got a 3-second lead now here at Laguna Seca, and we're only sort of 12 minutes in, so that's a nice, handy lead to have. Doesn't look like anything separates the 3 guys behind, and they're not the sort of people that make many mistakes, are they?
No, they're not. No, they're not at all, and this is what we've come to expect from these guys, is that they don't make any mistakes, and if they do make mistakes, it's usually few and far between. So what is the mentality of someone like Essa now in 4th position, who similarly doesn't make any mistakes and is now starting to apply the pressure to Tariq Adam? Tariq Adam within striking distance, it's so close, but there's absolutely nothing you can do other than stay in this train, keep pressure to the corkscrew, and just look at how close it with the concertina effect coming into play as the noses and drivers go nose to tail in certain sections of the circuit, but then start separating once more as they go onto the faster stuff.
It can be really mentally draining driving this close behind someone for this length of time. So 47 minutes to go of this race. If it carries on like this and they're just constantly following, it can really take its toll, and you'll be surprised at the end of the race, then mistakes come even from the best drivers. Harry Spears is in a very luxurious position of having clean air in front of him.
Minna with the same.
Yeah, exactly. So they want to maximise and take that opportunity, because they know the machinery is the same behind them. So they'll know when they've made a mistake, and that's when they need to be worried. But if they haven't made a mistake, they know there's a pass not coming, so they can just carry on and just ignore. Don't look in the mirror too much.
Yeah, it really is about driving the perfect race here. There's no advantage to be gained on certain sections because of major setup discrepancies or advantages per car. This is all about driver skill, and as you say, the perfect run. So many of these guys doing alien laps over here, where every single lap is absolutely perfect, and there's nothing you can do other than wait. But here comes Zahir Essa now. Zahir Essa on Adam's tries to have a look down the inside. Adam thinks better of it and says, no, no, no. You're not coming down that way. You'd have to.
I think I was just showing his nose, wasn't he? Just as a reminder to Adams to just say, look, I'm still here. I'm just letting you see me in your mirror, because realistically, a pass was not going to happen there. But it's just trying to off-put the driver in front. You do anything you possibly can to just make him look and think twice. You'll see it in his peripheral vision, probably. See it in the mirrors. Oh, what the hell's Essa doing behind? That just puts it off as you go into that corkscrew.
It does come down to the mental tactics now. That last little look might have cost him a little bit, but I think Essa realizes that he's got the pace on Adam, and it does look like Essa's tires are working a bit better than Adam at the moment. He's able to get within that distance a lot easier. He's able to reel in Adam lap after lap now. Recently, before it was sort of struggling to hold on, they were all struggling to hold on to one another. It does seem as if Essa is trying to apply a little bit more pressure, and Tariq is starting to feel it a little bit.
Yeah, you just got to just stick on him. I mean, they'll be very familiar with each other. They're sort of teammates in other series, I understand, recently in Tariq Adams and Zahir Essa, so they will be very, very familiar with but their driving and probably their setups as well in the car. So he's not wishing ill on his ex-teammate in front of him, but if there's a mistake there, you can be sure that Essa will capitalise on it. Ietzi is also not far behind.
Well, it does look like Adam has now started to drop the hammer a little bit. Adam's now 0.2 of a second or so up on his best time. So he started to pick up the pace. He realizes that he was a bit too close for comfort, and just look at the gap now. And now Essa finds himself under pressure from the Italian, who sits now comfortably in 5th position.
Yeah, very close, super close. Only a couple of tenths between those two drivers. It's progressing, isn't it? A bit of a concertina effect happening with these sort of 2nd to 5th places. And you're in 1 minute you're fighting for a position change, and then the next minute you're defending from one. So that's what this sort of one-make series brings, doesn't it? A very expensive Polo Cup, as we said in round 1, is happening here at Laguna Seca.
Yeah, indeed, and that's exactly what it looks like at the moment with guys now. They cannot make any moves there. The 858 car there of Ietzi now finds himself behind the champion leader, and it would be a sweet taste if he was able to secure X more points than the championship leader, taking him closer to the top spot of the podium. And someone that now certainly should be quite happy with what's happening is Spears in front. Hit me, baby, one more time, is all he's singing to himself now, if he can make his way to that final flag.
Yeah, he's been flawless so far, hasn't he? And consistency of his lap times is just something else. His best lap was 1:22.6, and his last lap was still 1:22.8. So he's just going round in sort of 1 or 2 tenths of each other every single lap. And that's how you just claw away at a 3.5 second lead. It's taken 11 laps to do it, but he just seems to be quicker than everyone else consistently, at least 2 tenths per lap.
2 tenths per lap indeed. Philip Minard just did a 122.985. And to give you an idea, Tariq Adam did a 122.9. I just went off my screen now, but all 3 of them, Essa as well, with a 907. So all of them are so close to one another. And as you mentioned, this is the limit. These drivers are driving at the absolute limit of what is possible in this car around the circuit at this stage.
Well, they're actually going a little bit fast on the limit, because the track record in real life, which is this car set earlier this year in IMSA with Daniel Juncadella, was a 124.4. So they're going a couple of seconds quicker than the real life version. So maybe Assetto Corsa Competizione has got to do a bit of balancing there, because that shows you how quick they're basically beating the real world lap record every single lap.
Every single lap, and these guys are pushing so hard, but so far they are running nose to tail, line astern. No changes so far for the last couple of laps, but someone that certainly wants a big change to happen is Ietzi. I don't think he's going to be happy to be slot in behind Essa. Spears, as we mentioned, quite happy to be out in front, and now it looks like Renard also finding his rhythm in 2nd position.
Yeah, he'll be enjoying the fact that the pressure's just dropped off him from Tariq Adams. So Philip Minard's got a bit of clean track ahead of him to just concentrate on. We've got some penalties further behind that are probably not going to get served until the end, because I don't think they're coming in for a pit stop. So that'll be 10 seconds added on to their final race distance. And at the moment, that's a good sort of 3 or 4 places each from them. So they've got a new task ahead of them, trying to gain 10 seconds from the guy behind.
Yeah, that is Schaefer and Deploy. That is Schaefer and Deploy. And I'd love to cut to that race at the moment, because those two guys are absolutely fighting it out at the moment for 8th and 9th position as Schaefer and Deploy. And so close, even with those penalties, they're still racing each other very hard, tooth and nail, trying to secure the best possible spot within the top 10.
Yeah, and that really is a racer position, because those penalties have cancelled each other out, wasn't it? So if Schaefer manages to get past Christian Deploy, that is actually a pass on circuit and in the end results as well. Yeah,
exactly. Schaefer and Deploy still fighting it out. And as we go into and look at the replay over there, that is McCall there. That's McCall on your screen over there. Morgan McCall gets the inside line going towards the first corner, through the first corner into the hairpin.
That's a great pass from Morgan McCall.
That's a fantastic pass, lined it up perfectly, and so well thought out as well. You can see that was something that was planned earlier on.
Yeah, and with that, that gets him back into the top 10. So on a bit of a recovery from that mishap on the first lap. But Morgan McCall showing his class in that Mercedes-AMG. The inside of turn 2. You don't see that all the time. That is one place you can make a pass. You haven't seen too many passes here, capitalising on mistakes of turn 6 as we'd expect. And that's a very good pass from Morgan McCall up the inside of turn 2.
And as you mentioned, Dan, a very difficult circuit to overtake at. And Morgan McCall now 3.6 seconds behind Schaefer, who is battling Deploy. And if those two continue to battle each other out, McCall might see himself further up the order as well.
Yeah, because he's looking at those 10-second penalties. He doesn't have to pass them on circuit. He just has to close the gap and sit behind them to guarantee himself an 8th place, doesn't he? So we've got 39 minutes left to go. We want to try and get past as quickly as he possibly can, if that is an option for him. But if not, he's got a couple of places there and penalties just waiting to be had.
Yeah, that's so nice. It's such an advantageous position to be in for him. All he's got to do, yeah, exactly. All he's got to do is just sit and wait and see if he can capitalize as the gap now closes for these drivers once again. Get a bit closer for comfort than it was earlier on. The guys are starting to slow dance with one another now.
Yeah, the really tight gap is what it's been the entire race, is Esser versus Adams, hasn't it? So the top 2 have checked out in Spears and Minnar with a 3-second sort of gap each. But Esser is desperately trying to get past Adam. I feel like he's being held up a little bit here. The longer this goes on, that's going to be tickets for the win. But he's still pushing for a podium spot in his new car's livery AMG.
Yeah, exactly. And this is also one of the pressures that comes with getting sponsors. It's the pressure to perform, and anybody that feels that more than anyone, I know that he's not someone to wilt under any sort of pressure, but certainly it will change the mindset when you walk up to the paddock with your brand new set of sponsored booties and overalls, you know what I mean? So Esser, now the sponsored driver on the grid officially, has to now mix it up with the rest of the privateers here, and who knows, maybe that does make a difference. But at the same time, I think that maybe the circuit might not be his favorite as they now come up to some traffic. Esser gets held up ever so slightly, and Ietzi now, I think Ietzi's going to come off worse now as Wentworth pushes Ietzi wide, and that gives Esser a little bit of breathing room. And Esser, such class when it comes to those types of situations. It's almost as if he sees 1 or 2 corners ahead and calculates how everybody around him will get affected. He always seems to come off best when it comes to back markers.
Yeah, back markers and getting past them efficiently is a real skill in itself, and is what comes with a lot of endurance racing as well. When you do a lot of endurance racing, as I know Esser has been involved with in the past, you sort of gain that skill of trying to lose the least amount of time before back markers. Sometimes you think it's luck, but it really isn't. It's anticipating where they're going to be and trying to maximize and not lose any time.
Yeah, well, he certainly managed to gain some time there on Adam. So Esser now a little bit closer to Adam, and Ietzi now a little bit further back. But again, it does seem like Ietzi's got some pace here, man. Let's not write him off just yet. but someone that certainly does not need to be written off at all. Number 285 man, our number one man, the man in the lead, Harry Spears, as he goes down the corkscrew over there, finds himself in first place, and this is all by design, folks. This is no accident. Harry Spears finds himself in first place as we watch the replay there of McCall, and that looks like Essa over there. Oh, sorry, the deploy, I apologize, that was deploy and McCall, busy going through the motions of swapping positions there as the lead driver makes his way, at least the second place driver makes his way through.
Yeah, it's just such impressive lap times here from Harry Spears. 1:22.8 again. It just pounds out. 1:22.8 is just his standard race pace, which is just an insane. No one else in the 22's got the. But ETC was 22, just 9.47. Even the likes of Minna, Adams, Essa, all in the low 23s. So it's just Harry Spears is just pounding around consistently in that 122. Doesn't seem like tyres are affecting him whatsoever. So it's a great first stint of this race.
Yeah, Spires now the fastest lap at the moment with a 6:10. Second place man Minna with a 6:90. But as you mentioned, it's about what happened the last lap. And so far, Spires is in his rhythm. He's got the pace, and he is just taking himself just down this Old Town Road. And I don't think any of these guys are going to develop their way. So he is riding off into the sunset at this stage, or in this case, riding off into the sunrise.
Yeah, indeed. In fact, it's looking pretty good in the sunrise as the sun comes up in the desert, and the temperatures will probably climb with it as we jump on board with Jacobs in 14th place. He's got King behind him in the 25 AMG. Looking a bit ominous there, putting a lot of pressure on here. And this is where you start to see the possibility of a mistake creeping in the mid to low pack. And we jump back to McCall, who's managed to get himself into the top 10. But can he pass the two guys in front of him who have got penalties and try and make inroads then onto 7th? Because he's got 8th in the bag, but he would like to get higher up even still.
Yeah, he's got 8th in the bag. These are the two ATK cars on your screen at the moment as McCall goes past, gets shown past by the 95 car over there. And he's now chasing down Schaefer. Did he just get past Deploy quite easily now there, Dad?
Yeah, I think that was a simulated pass, wasn't it? It must have been let him through, I think.
Yeah, I think so. I think some team orders there from Deploy as Deploy lets through McCall. McCall now chasing down Schaefer. McCall trying to get maximum points here. He was doing so well early on until an incident took him off at the top of the hill. I think that's probably gonna be one of those spots where we will see most of these incidents take place. And of course, this corner over here, as Christian Deploy goes through the sweep. I'm now on board with Harry Spires once again, and again, a fantastically fast lap time. Does a 22.715
crazy.
For his trouble, and just cements once again that gap as Philip Minna does a 22.9, Adam does a 23.0, Essa with a very slow 23.9. So let's see what's happening with Essa over there.
What struck me when we went on board with Christian Deploy is the sun rising is right in your face as you come through that difficult left-hander on turn 6, that kink. So I wonder whether that forces a few more mistakes, because it's a little bit like Sunset at Kailami. It was really playing havoc right in their eyes, as that can put quite a few drivers off. For those that are fighting very closely, as we look to Essa and Adam. And Ietzi. Oh no, it's Bauer. No, it's Bauer's behind Ietzi's quite a long way further back. It's Ietzi and Essa, isn't it? Which is tight. Whether this sun puts any of them off as they come through here.
I'd love to go on board if our producer can get us on board. There we go. And now we know what it looks like. We're on board with Ietzi going up towards the corkscrew over there. Just look at how the road dips away there. Now the car disappears in front as Ietzi still continues to chase down our man over there at this incredible Laguna circuit, Laguna Seca circuit, of course. Laguna named after a dry riverbed, and the circuit was built on an old riverbed. The rumor has it that there was in fact lots and lots of water here back in the day, and that the rainy curve number 9, was in fact not named after the rain, but someone a bit more famous than that. Wayne Rainey, of course, who took to Goodwood recently for the first time since his big incident, and rode his MotoGP bike at Goodwood Circuit. Wayne Rainey having a corner named after him here at Laguna Seca, because of course this is also a very, very popular motorbike circuit as well.
Yeah, and they don't give away names very often, do they? Only a few corners here. Andretti obviously being the famous one, turn 2. That's it. They don't give any names away.
Yeah.
So it's quite an honour. They've got a few in reserve. If you're a famous American driver, you're using special at Laguna Seca, you can maybe claim sort of turn 5 would be one that I'd be after.
Yeah. I think I wonder if that Haynes curve.
No, it's never going to happen, unfortunately. I would like it, but it's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. There's a car off in Wentworth.
That's William Wentworth, goes off over there and takes some avoiding action, but goes off the circuit over there as we once again on board with Ietzi coming onto the final turn. That is turn number 11. And Dan, you were saying number 5, Haynes curve.
I'll have 5. You can have 11. Have a page corner.
The only Haynes I like is Haynes tomato sauce. Okay, I don't want my corners any. I don't want any of my corners named after you. Okay.
All right, thanks. I'll remember that. I will remember that. But yeah, we're seeing the frustration here of Esser and Ietzi, aren't we? It proves how important qualifying was. But we got a very big mixture of circuits. I mean, he'll be a bit more relieved next weekend when we go to Spa, because he won't have any of those sort of issues in making a path. That's got to be the easiest place ever to get a path done if you've got the pace.
Yeah.
Very hard to defend. So good mixtures. We got Spa next week, then Nürburgring GT round 4, Suzuka, what a circuit that is, for round 5, and then we finish it off with the disaster that is Mount Panorama and everything that can happen with the walls. So I wouldn't be wanting to take a drop round here, is what I'm saying. I would want to carry that all the way to round 6.
I see what you're saying, and this could be one of the situations where you take what you can get, you collect the points that you can get. Away the points are handed out here with the ATK Pro Series. It's not that big of a jump from 1st to 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. So drivers want to collect as many points as possible. Maybe this might be the place to do that. Ietzi still chasing down as we go on board with Schaefer now. Robin Schaefer there in 8th position. Got McCall now right up behind him, and this is the battle we've been waiting for. McCall and Schaefer for position. McCall, however, will have an advantage. Do you think Schaefer should just let this one slide, Dad?
I wouldn't be fighting it, but I mean, I don't think, if McCall gets his car side by side, he might as well relinquish it. You're not going to really fight it, are you? But I think he would be well aware of that 10 seconds and just trying to lose the least amount of time overall in the next 28 minutes. I just looked at Harry Spears, just somehow put a lap in of a 122.405, which I think would have got him 5th on the grid in qualifying with light fuel. That's insanely fast. For race pace. It's just a phenomenal drive so far from Harry Spears.
Just to give you an idea, McCall and Schaefer, McCall with the 122.7 and Schaefer with the best of 122.7 as well. So 0.3 of a second up, but that 3/10, oh, and there we see it. That's the corner we've been talking about, Dan, with it. And just off screen now, we saw McCall and Schaefer running a little bit wide, but now we're on board with Sander Jacobs in 15th position, getting some pressure now from Elof. Elof was tipped to do very well in this race today.
Well, he has done well, because, I mean, we didn't see it. When he got a stop-go 30, he was in 21st place, wasn't he?
Yeah.
So he's taken his stop-go 30, and he's recovered to 16th position. So, I mean, that's one hell of a drive from Elof, and we've missed some of those passes. We've got a few guys that have come into the pits who may have inherited a few places. But, yeah, he's had to make up a stop-go 30, which is a huge amount of time to make up.
Yeah, so clearly he does have what it takes to mix it up with the boys in the ATK Pro Series. Seeing more of him in future. This, of course, his first time trying out for the ATK Pro Series, and not too shabby. He's made a name for himself, even with the not ideal results. Definitely has put himself out there as Robin Schaefer manages to make McCall run a little bit wide there. just the sheer pace of Schaefer. McCall trying to hold on, trying to get that overtaking maneuver done. But will he, though, with 27 minutes to go and already that position technically in hand?
Yeah, so McCall's one of the closest gaps on circuit. The other one is still Esser and Adams, but that's destined to just go the entire race at this point. 26 minutes to go. All you can do is just make sure your car's there, isn't it? And then see whether the pressure actually mounts enough that you can force a mistake from the driver in front. But these guys are so pro. I mean, and especially these track conditions, we haven't got like a rain to make an effect here. This is the one circuit you go to, you don't even bother practicing wet weather racing, let's be honest. You're in the desert, for crying out loud. Oh, it's got a good exit out of the final corner here from McCall. Is this an opportunity? Looks like it's stabilized though, hasn't it? He's not gaining at all, and it's not a long enough drag up to turn 2 to shove your nose in front.
Oh, is he going to go for it anyways? On the brakes there, Schaefer runs ever so slightly wide. McCall has a look down the inside of my screen here, but we cut back to Zahir Esser in the Cars.co.za car, still in it, still applying pressure, still trying to get past Adam over there, and Minnar and Spears still leading us off and off into the distance. Fifth place man, Ietzi, still there, looking on at the Cars.co.za logo constantly. I think Ietzi, even though he's in go that way, because that's all he's been staring at for the last 35 minutes or so.
Yeah, he's going to be able to draw a good picture. He'll remember cars.co.za when he sleeps. He'll be like, oh, I have to check that website out, because he spent enough time looking at the back of that car. So good advertising there for a certain Italian. So look, McCall getting incredibly close at the top of the corkscrew.
That was very close.
I'm glad he didn't take a more of a look here, but it feels like a pass is coming here from Morgan, McCall and Schaefer, and I don't think Schaefer wants to be losing too much time, knowing that he's got that 10-second penalty to take.
Yeah, Schaefer should more than likely just let him go, because Deploy is also going to be hanging around in the background there trying to capitalize on that. So Schaefer, I think, might be best served to just let McCall go and maybe jump into his toe and see if he can stick with him, because the position is lost anyways. It's now about trying to go as far as possible as McCall has a look down the inside. Schaefer goes defensive. The next two corners are right-handers. Has got it. Schaefer goes defensive, but McCall definitely, Dan, now having a solid look.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Schaefer, after he served his penalty, currently is going to be, what, in 11th place? So this is not a fight for position as far as he's concerned, and it looks like McCall's got pace. So he'd be better off letting McCall through and then tucking up behind him and following him, try and get dragged along, really, because ultimately he's looking at his overall race time, isn't he? Not his actual position right now, because this is not a race for position.
Yeah, McCall putting the pressure on big time over here. The number 9 car feeling it of Schaefer, and Schaefer with a 10-second penalty, by all accounts, should relinquish this position, but I don't think he's willing to do that. Just look at the ball. Schaefer gets it squirrely there. McCall applies more pressure, and Schaefer now definitely dab on the brakes there, almost goes around the outside now into turn 1. Try to cut back down the main straight. Down the main straight they go to, but it does. And McCall not able to reel him in enough to make that position stick.
Yeah, super close. It's great driving. I don't mind him not relinquishing the position at all, because I'm enjoying this as he's looking around the outside here at turn 2. Maybe the only way he's going to do it is to get the cut back. I mean, you lose time doing that, and that's exactly what's happened here, because it's just, there's only one way, the inside line of turn 2. But he's making that AMG all over these rear view mirrors, side mirrors, rear view mirrors, whatever which way he looks, he's going to be seeing ATK in his mirrors.
Yeah, of course. I think that's one logo is not going to be forgetting anytime soon. We saw the same thing happen at round 1, where our overseas drivers from Europe were all over one another and not relinquishing at all, not giving any quarter for lap after lap after lap. And now, once again, we're seeing it again, this time though with McCall and Schaefer nose to tail line stern for multiple laps, with no one giving an inch just yet.
No, so we got another fastest lap of the race in Harry Spears at the front with a 1:22.225. I mean, that was enough for second place in qualifying. Just insane lap times that it's going through. The lap times in general coming down as well. Philip Minard did a 1:22.3, which is almost matches his qualifying time as well. So these guys are literally, this is the definition of a 60-minute sprint race. It's just qualifying laps for 60 minutes.
Qualifying laps for 60 minutes indeed, and someone that's very good at both of those is Zahir Issa, having qualified pole at the previous race, having won the previous race, but this time starting further down the order and staying in 4th position at this stage, holding on to 4th from his teammate in other series, Tariq Adam, and then in 5th place is Ietzi. No pressure from anybody further back. So as we mentioned, the top 5, top 6 were certainly in a class of their own on the day, Dan.
Yeah, they're too good, aren't they? They need something to mix it up a bit. So I'm thinking like Spa, very notorious for a bit of wet weather. That might be a bit interesting. So next weekend when we go to Spa, there's a possibility of a rain shower, as is always the case there. But because these guys need something to put them off, because they're just so well trained at this point. The lap times are insane, absolutely crazy. Top 3 all in the 22s now, going around in a bit of a train with the difficulty of passing. Ietzi is now the closest guy behind someone in Zahir Issa. But it's gonna be a hard pass. It's almost gonna be an impossible pass.
It's going to be a very hard pass, but that was an easy pass there. The 667 car over there, that's Barkhuizen in 14th position, getting overtaken by our leader, Spears, in 1st position. Harry Spears, Race Anywhere Sim Sport, the quintessential professional, finds himself at the top spot and just lapping consistently. That's all he needs to do now, Dan, is to lap consistently for the next 20 or so minutes, something I'm sure he's done many times before, but this time so much more at stake. Not just a victory here, not just the cash prize, but also big opportunities later on down the year for our championship winners. Spears, of course, not a South African citizen, but he does want to cash in some of those randellas at the end of today. Oh, there goes Morgan McCall.
He's collecting rands, isn't he, Harry Spears? He'll be quite familiar with them by the end of this series. Unfortunately, they're worth a little bit less than they were round 1, so you might want to cash them into pounds sooner rather than later.
Kind of like South African rands are like Bitcoin, they just lose value over time.
Well, they go up and down. Yeah, at the moment, my advice would be cash them into pounds.
I'm glad you find this hilarious, Dan. I'm glad you find this.
I'm only laughing because these days I get paid in rands. They're tears as well.
Well, I'm laughing too now, then. That's glad to hear. Around he goes, Harry Spears. Our man is going to be collecting some of South Africa's finest rands at the end of this. All of this goes according to plan, though. It's not over till it's over. WeatherTech Racing here at Laguna Seca. And anything can happen in motorsport, Dan. We've seen it so many times before. Even when it becomes almost processional, you can't sometimes take your eyes off the screen just for a moment, because something can happen. And let's hope that for Harry Spears, nothing happens today.
Yeah, this is where the pressure starts to mount when you go into the last 20 minutes of any race, and you start really thinking about that final result and what it means and how important it is. And if you've got a bit of a comfort gap that you've built up in the likes of our top 2 runners, as we are on board with Philip Minnaar, who's had a great race. He lost that early place, didn't he, to Adams, and he had to make the pass on circuit to get it back, but he clearly had the pace. Because he's made it his own and he's cemented that 2nd place. He's got 18 minutes to go. Spears has had the main advantage of qualifying in pole position and not seeing anyone in front of him, which is exactly what you want here at Laguna Seca. So vital, probably the most important qualifying of the season, for sure, I would say, is at this circuit.
Yeah, and there we saw it play out live and in person when Harry Spears and Philip Minnaar and all the guys that qualified so far up basically stayed in their positions all the way through to the end. It's always been said that certain circuits are just better for qualifying them, but you called this one. You mentioned that whoever qualifies in front here more than likely is going to stay there, and that's exactly what happened, at least for the most part, here for the top 5 drivers.
Yeah, it's totally vital. Next weekend will be different. You'll put a lot more stress into your race prep, but you put a lot of time into qualifying here, knowing how important it was. And the fact that they've been able to lap at the similar sort of pace that they qualified is just truly insane for 60 minutes. But next weekend at Spa with a long camel straight, Anyone that got frustrated here today chasing behind someone will at least have the comfort of knowing that it won't be the same next week, and we'll see quite a few passes there. But here it's a different type of circuit and a totally different, almost more concentration required here, because you know what's at stake if you lose a place early on, and how important it is to keep your car in between the white lines.
Yeah, always important to keep the car on the black stuff. Tariq Adam knows that better than anyone else. He managed to usurp his teammate Zaire Essa, who started off in 3rd position. Tariq was in 4th place, but managed to pull off one of the only overtakes we saw at the start of this race, and finds himself now in 3rd position in front of Essa. William Wentworth there on your screen at the moment, and it does look like they're starting to get a little bit of backmark action now. The 554 driver over there. Car looks cool with all those pandas on it. I really do like that livery.
Yeah, it looks like one of those Nürburgring sort of camo liveries, doesn't it, where you can't see. I do. It's pretty cool, I have to admit. I am liking that.
There is one of the drivers, I think it's Colin Ellis, in the South African Endurance Series that runs a similar livery to that. You kind of can't see that it's a panda until you get up close. You're like, oh, it's a panda.
Right. Yeah. Right.
So I think Wentworth has a similar thing going on over there, as Tariq Adam and Zaire Essa thread their way past and thread their way into the final 15 minutes of this race. So far, everything staying status quo, with Spears in 1st place, Minna in 2nd, Tariq Adam just behind him in 3rd place, Zaire Essa right on his tail in 4th place, having lost that 3rd position at the start. Ietzi now slipping a little bit further back, and at least now Essa not having to get any more pressure from Ietzi in 5th place.
It's been very clean, hasn't it? We had that first lap incident and a few penalties slapped about, and then we've obviously had a couple of 10 seconds added, but since then, literally nothing. And also no track cut penalties as well, so it shows these drivers can do it, can't they? Because you're not going to do any track cuts here, because it's going to massively hinder you. You don't get any advantage. But we saw a bit of that in the first round. So that, yeah, they deserve their penalties when they get them, basically, because this is a demonstration that they can do it when they have, because we haven't had a single track cut penalty.
Yeah, this circuit is so unforgiving, not just for track cut, but also just touching the dirt. The dirt kind of like quicksand, isn't it? It slows you down incredibly, and there we go. That's what happens. We saw that now with Silver. As you run wide and you just touch the sand on the outside, and the car just absolutely slows down. So it's the punishment served is immediate if you make a mistake at this circuit, regardless of the track penalties, because any sort of running wide over here comes with a cost.
Indeed. Morgan McCall has had a great race, hasn't he? He'll be really upset with that first lap incident being punted at the top of the corkscrew, because he's recovered so nicely to get back into 8th position. His race pace has been strong. It might be a race of what could have been if he wasn't affected in that first lap incident. Because, yeah, if he showed the same pace, he could have been on for a top 5, possibly.
Yeah, top 5 could have been indeed, but it's nice to see McCall back in top 10. We saw him in the midfield at Kyalami battling there, and now a little bit more competitive. And there goes Philip Minnaar down the road in 2nd.
We got Schaefer, who's got his 10 seconds to serve, but Christian Deploy is 10 seconds behind him, also with his 10 seconds. Schaefer's actually, he's down to finish where he is right now, so he will be hoping that he can keep it that way and keep his 9th place, because that's let McCall through and then just try and keep with him, and that's what's happened, and that 10-second gap is what he needed to do when he got served the penalty.
Well, it's not over yet, because in 11th place we find Voss. And
yeah, it's
Voss,
close. It's very close.
Yes, Voss is very close to Deploy. So if Voss can get past Deploy, then Silver, then at least Schaefer will have him to deal with as well. So Voss now starting to chase down Deploy, who also finds himself with a 10-second penalty. As we cut back to Zaire Essa, and Kazatera Zerekon getting lots of airtime today. And rightly so.
He's been a guy that's, you feel he's got the pace, but he just cannot get this pass made. And it'll be a frustrating race for him, I think, when you speak to him. He'll be hoping that he qualified just a little bit higher up. but not being able to make a move at all so far. Got 12 minutes to go, maybe putting everything into the end of this race. If he's got any tyres left over, if he's been nursing them a bit, now's the time to use them, just to pile on some final lap pressure and see whether he can get a podium result.
That's exactly it, isn't it? These cars are so closely matched, the drivers too. And as the season goes, I think we're going to see a lot more of this nose-to-tail sort of stuff. And it does seem like these drivers aren't cracking under the pressure as much as we would have seen early on in the season, round one certainly, and maybe even last year. They're getting a bit more used to this kind of pressure. And I tell you what, when Zahir Essa is the behind someone, they don't do too well, but these guys are used to spending time together, as we now cut to Matthijs Vos, just right behind the deploy car and applying massive pressure going into the final 10 minutes.
Yeah, he's really close, isn't he? I'll tell you what is cracking under pressure. It's these front splitters. They come down the bottom of the corkscrew, because, I mean, I wouldn't want to be paying for them, because they must be absolutely knackered. At the end of this race, there's going to be 22 new front splitters, and I can't imagine that's cheap on a Mercedes-Benz AMG GT3 car. Yeah, nasty amount of sparks we've seen going through there, but it's super close. If Vos can get there, he knows that 9th place is going to be handed to him. He just needs to get within 10 seconds of Schaefer, and there's only 10 minutes to go.
Well, we did speak to one of the team bosses of one of the cars at the Kyalami 9 Hour, and yeah, everything on these cars is exceptionally expensive, including any of those carbon fiber body panels that we often see splattered across the circuit. And yeah, going down the cork, shaving a couple millimeters.
Yeah, they've done it how many times? They've done it 35 times. If they shave a millimeter off each time they go through the corkscrew, there wouldn't be any splitter left. So yeah, I think they're going to be finished. They'll need a new one for Spa.
Well, we saw early on the start line, some of the drivers already started off with damage on their bumpers. Not ideal going into a race this competitive. You want every advantage that you can get, and someone that's trying to gain an advantage now is Matthijs Vos on deploy, and again the pressure, and Zahir Essa applying pressure to Adam, who's also managing to absorb the same.
Yeah, he's very frustrated. I'm sure he is in Zahir Essa in this car. He's doing everything he can, and it's just being matched, isn't it? They're so similar on pace, Adams and Essa. I mean, they're within half a tenth of each other almost every single lap, just going around in a bit of a train. It's been a very boring race for the likes of Spears and Minar. Minar had that sort of frantic trying to get back his spot into second place at the start of the race, but since then he's really taken control of that and gapped a 3-second lead over Adam. But Spears has got 6.2 seconds now, really just managing his pace, and he's on for a good hatful of rounds at the end of this day. That's nice. You go into a POM going into the British Grand Prix, and he's just won round 2 of the ATK Pro Series and bagged a few rounds. He's going to have a good afternoon, I reckon.
He's going to have a couple of beers on us, that's for sure. Watching the Formula One is beers, but again, we are counting those proverbial chickens before they've even...
I don't want to jinx. I definitely don't want to jinx it. I take it all back, Paris Beers. Take it all back.
Left the coop, Dan. And yeah, no, but us commentators do have a habit of doing that, especially when things sort of fall into a rhythm. You peg it as done, but it's not done, at least not with these drivers. It's not in their mind. Vos just made a mistake further back, so he's not within that distance anymore. He's not within the laser lock zone for deploy, but someone that is within that zone, Paul on Appel here, who is
very
in
much
7th position, and Morgan McCall has just gotten missile lock on that 29 car over there, but can he make it stick though?
He's had a fantastic race, McCall, really has. I mean, they made more passes than the whole rest of the field combined, hasn't he, to get himself back up into 8th spot, and now he fancies 7th with 7 minutes to go. So Morgan McCall really getting familiar with Laguna Seca and his Mercedes-AMG and feeling comfortable, and he's a man at piling on pressure, and he's made a few passes on track as well, so he knows where to do it. So we'll keep an eye on this this battle for sure on the last closing sessions of this race.
Exactly, and he's, as far as it goes, more than likely has made the most overtakes of anybody here, and now he's hoping he can get missile lock on the car in front and feel that loving feeling make the overtake. But let's see if he's able to do that. Morgan McCall watching on closely.
That was close. That really was close. Pushing him along at this point, isn't it? It's like he's being towed down the N2. And then you're going to have a look on the inside, puts his nose there, thinks better of it, drops back in for the final corner, and then he'll be looking to see whether he can make another pass into turn 2 like he did earlier on in the race.
Well, it's just further back. Voss has gotten past Deploy. Deploy made a mistake. Maybe we can see a replay of that. Deploy made a mistake and Voss managed to get past, but the battle on track here now continues with Appel there in 7th, right behind him, and so close. Watch the bumpers getting right up close to one another as these two continue to duke it out towards the final 5 minutes of today's race.
Yeah, ridiculously close between these two. I mean, there's literally just a paper between them in sections of this lap, and then it sort of balances out a bit. But Morgan McCall's going to be running out of time shortly. He's going to have to make a move somewhere. And I think he's feeling brave. When you come back from a recovery and you start getting more comfortable passing cars, you get into a bit of a rhythm. And I think that's exactly what's happened here to Morgan McCall.
Sometimes certain drivers need to get a little bit pissed off, a little bit angry, a little bit annoyed. And this could be one of those moments where
it's brought out the best of him.
Yeah, it doesn't always work out. In fact, it doesn't. Sometimes a little bit of anger to just push you to that point where you start taking it necessarily take. And he's got nothing to lose at this stage. A dismal start to the race, but certainly the middle and end phase has been a lot better, especially if he can end up in a respectable 7th position.
Yeah, really will. I mean, that's higher than I think he qualified, so that'll be an immense job well done. And the guys in front, certainly the top 5, have pretty much been in a league of their own anyway, so you could argue that he's getting his rightful positions back. But a fantastic recovery drive here from Morgan McCall, and he just wants to go one better in the last 5 minutes to try and get a top 7.
Well, Morgan McCall's times speak for themselves. His best time is a 22.6.
It's a lot quicker than Apple in front, isn't it? Yeah, 1:23.1 in front, so he's got the pace, definitely.
22.6. Ietzi now just set one of the fastest lap times with a 22.207. So Ietzi now finds himself with the fastest lap time all the way down in 5th place. But that time of our man McCall, a very respectable time indeed, and Appel in front, Joris Appel, will be feeling the pressure knowing that that the man behind him does have an incredible turn of speed.
Yeah, he's got half a second on him basically, hasn't he, as ultimate lap pace, and if he can pull one of those out, that's what he needs to do if he wants 7th place with only 4 minutes to go. The consistency of Spears is what's really struck me today, though, because, I mean, his lap times, he hasn't quite, as you say, he's lost his fastest lap of the race. And just as a reminder, there is one championship point in it for that fastest lap of the race. So Simon Ietzi is going to take that as it stands right now. But Harry Spears' average lap time is just insane. Absolutely crazy. He's putting in more 122s than anybody else, basically.
Stands to reason, though, that the average lap time is so much more important than out-and-out lap time, but it's going to be so close either way. So you want to get a very good out-and-out lap time, which puts you in the top 3, but you also want to get the best possible average lap time. And someone now that's starting to get those average lap times up is Zahir Essa, applying massive now to Tariq Adam as we go. Now all of a sudden it's got a little underneath that AMG now, and is now starting to apply the pressure with purpose on Tariq Adam in 3rd position. This is for podium position, folks, and we've only got 3 minutes left.
Yeah, it's absolutely everything now. 3 minutes to go. Any tyres that you manage to hold on for the earlier part of the race, maybe a bit of managing. Oh, and he's having a look. He's not going to have it done here in turn 2, though. Not a chance. Adam knows that that's not a possibility. He keeps the position in front. Just got to keep your cool, Tariq Adams, because he's using up any tyres he's got left. He's pushing. He knows this is 2 more laps of just everything. I think that might have been it, though. I think that might have been his big push. Because he's dropped back a little bit here. 2 laps to go of this race. Adam's just got to soak up a little bit more pressure.
Yeah, Tariq Adam there soaking up the pressure, doing well with that overtaking maneuver. Essa came from all the way back. Tariq did not give him the respect and closed the door. And Essa, I think, that was a little... and then got a little bit of oversteer out of one of the right-hand turns back there. Got a little bit of oversteer, and that car, now he does have the pace, and he is back within that distance, and he's going to have one more chance to pull this off if he's able to get close enough. And if he doesn't, though, he's going to have to settle for that 4th position as we now go on board.
Yeah, there's a couple of battles here, haven't they? Morgan McCall and Zyrus, they're the two that are desperately doing everything they can to try and get one more place. One would be for a podium and the other one for a very valiant 7th place. And here it is, like Morgan McCall looking every which way. But there's just not a gap there to be had, is there?
Not yet, in at least. And Morgan McCall thinks that that gap might come sooner than later. Still looking on as they go into the final, what could be the final lap of the race. McCall right behind Appel over there. Morgan McCall as they go into the first left-hander. And could this be another look down the inside? Yes, it does. He goes into the brake zone. Appel, Morgan McCall gets bumper to bumper, but too little too late at this stage. It looks like opportunity further on. Appel has to keep his cool though.
Yeah, this is the penultimate lap, isn't it? I don't think they're going to get another one in after this, so it's just throw everything and the kitchen sink at it. One more opportunity to get a place. It could come. As much pressure as you can pile on is what you want to do here, especially through turn 6. Could McCall get the pass done at the top of the hill?
Is still applying pressure from 4th position as well. So this is the two big battles taking place here. It's Morgan McCall and Zaire Essa as the leader now goes on to lap. So the lap of this, the leader goes on to his final lap, and now is everything to play for, folks. Just seconds remain and one lap in this, the second round of the ATK. At those Mercedes-Benz through these final couple of corners, not holding back at all at this stage. Bell taking immense pressure.
Yeah, where's he going to make the pass, McCall? It's on the final corner. I mean, he's got one chance up the drag. I mean, he's going to go into turn 2 again, but he made one pass earlier, but it must have been following a mistake. He's too far back here, and this is the last lap of the race. Only other opportunities at the top of the hill after turn 6, but he needs a mistake in front of him. And all he can do is just push that Mercedes-Benz badge as far up the back end of that other one as he can. Yeah. And try and force a mistake to happen.
Further up, Barkhuizen and King also battling it out in the final stages over here. But this is the race we're all watching out for now, as Morgan McCall and Appel for position battling on the final lap. This come to expect for the ATK Pro Series.
Oh, we had a look, and then we switched cameras.
We switched cameras over there. I wonder what happened.
Well, we're going to get the winner. So Harry Spears, first of all, wins round 2. Fantastic race here. We want to know what happens to McCall, though, if we can. We're going to have Philip Minnaar going to take 2nd position here at Laguna Seca. So that's a good load of championship points in the bank for him. Tariq Adams has managed to hold off Zyresa for what has effectively been 60 minutes of relentless pressure. And then back here, McCall didn't make the pass, and I think he's run out of time, because there's no way you're going to get a pass through here as you go maybe up the inside of the final corner. No, he's too far back.
Oh.
So he's going to have to settle.
McCall ran out of time. Appel did not run out of talent and made sure.
But Bauer's dropped into 8th, hasn't he? So Appel and McCall managed to get through both of them. So they did make a place, both each.
Wow. McCall ends up in 7th position provisional at this stage. A fantastic performance from him, folks. That's it from us for now. We'll be right back after this with more info and some interviews.
Welcome to Africa's first ROG arena.
Well, there you have it, folks. There are your winners. Tariq Adam in third position, Philip Menard in second place, Harry Spears in first place, and Dan, a notable name missing from the podium, Zaire Essa. Even though he started, we know Boothby would be missing, but we never thought Zaire Essa would be missing from the podium.
Yeah, he gave it everything though, didn't he? It was just the difficulty of Laguna Seca and getting a pass done, and Tariq Adams' superb drive to hold him off what was effectively 60 minutes of pressure. But Harry Spears in first place was just phenomenal. His average lap times was just insane. Cemented that pole position from qualifying and how important it was, and that clear track ahead of him here at Laguna Seca did him well for 60 minutes. And pretty uneventful. I think he'll say it was a bit of a boring race when we get to speak to him.
Yeah, I think he was okay. I think Harry Spears is okay. Harry, are you bored out there in front, Harry? How was that?
Yeah, it was quite a boring one actually. I must admit, it was yeah, pretty much from start to finish. But those are the races you like, obviously.
Yeah,
so it's always better just to win from the start rather than doing that. But yeah, I have to apologise for putting on too much for sure.
The last time we spoke, we had an in-depth conversation about offline conversation about the fact that the way you prepare mentally for these types of events. Judging by the results, it looks like your mental preparation was on point today, man. Tell us what happened. What was that like?
Yeah, so obviously when I got pole position, I was just absolutely terrified in the race of hitting the sausage curb in the corner just before the corkscrew. So just at the start, that was just my 100% priority. Even if I'm like tiptoeing around the rest of the track, it was just don't hit that sausage curb. Because if you hit that at the very start of the race, you'll easily lose in about sort of 5, 6, 7 positions. So obviously I managed not to hit that, and then obviously you just gain your confidence. But the track obviously started green, which was very tough. So pretty much this race was just me conserving tyres and just sort of keeping myself to myself and sort of driving by fingertips, because obviously the track was so sort of non-grippy for most of it. It's such a cold track. It was always like driving on an ice rink. So, but obviously it worked out at the end.
Dan, anything from your side?
No, I just thought it was very nice to have a POM, or that's what we call a British person, Harry, here in South Africa. Take a poll, take a win, because we probably won't see it in the Grand Prix later on. So I'll take that as my one British championship. Very well done. You get a few more rounds for your effort, and you go into round 3 as I think our championship leader. So congratulations on that.
Oh yeah, perfect. Yeah, brilliant. Yeah,
well done, Harry, and you can go enjoy the Formula One now. Hope podium today, which I doubt though. But either way, that was first place man over there. We got Philip Menard, the second place man, the best of the South Africans. Philip, you have been tipped to be the man to watch, and by all indications you were today. Just missing out on that first position, but definitely some new pace found. And how does it feel to have stamped your name on the championship now?
Sweaty, because I was working quite hard on this for this race, and I think the hard work paid off for this race. I mean, I had a solid setup and solid race today, so I can't complain. I was happy and.
And you didn't have it your own way. I was just going to say at the start, I said that I'd probably rather start from 3rd position than 4th. And that was the case, is Adam got you into turn 2 and you had to work your way back through. So how was that? A bit stressful at the beginning?
Yeah, well, I knew starting from second, the track is green on the outside of D1, so I was probably going to lose that position. I just had that in mind, and then just kept on pushing and waited and try to, force out a mistake, maybe. And it happened, and yeah, I just kept second and just kept it clean, tried to save the tires all the way to the end. Yeah, it worked out.
Philip, how do you manage to maintain this kind of composure where everybody around you is also this composed? I mean, you guys don't make many mistakes. So what is your mindset going to something like this with this caliber of competition?
Well, if you're not in control, of yourself, if you like over anxious and pushy, you're always going to make a mistake. So I think the key to doing these consistent laps and being calm is obviously staying calm, and not losing control of yourself, not pushing over the limit. So.
Well, Philip, you were the calm in the storm. Congratulations on your second place. A new South African driver has arrived on the Pro Series scene, and I'm sure we're going to be seeing his name on the podium very much in the future. Another South African that has consistently done well over time, but now finds himself once again on the podium. Adam, Tariq, lots of pressure there from Essa. I know you've But shoo, that must have been a bit intense there to work. Tariq, are you with us?
Hello, can you hear me?
Hi there. Yes, I can hear you. Just saying that pressure that you absorbed at the end there, immensely well done. Were you feeling the pressure from Essa?
Oh yeah, 100%. We obviously practiced together, and we knew we could be a lot faster. And I kind of messed up my race, making last-minute setup changes on the grid, and it just made the car really dangerous and unstable. So as you saw, I think you maybe saw, I went off that fast left-hander before corkscrew when I was in front of Minna, and that kind of destroyed my race from there because the car was so dangerous. So I just had to stay alive and try and keep it on the track. Yeah.
Dan, anything from your side?
Yeah, it's unfortunate that mistake. We brought it up at the start during qualifying. That was the corner to watch. So easy to make a mistake there and wash out wide because you can't afford to hit that sausage curb on the inside as well, which is interesting to hear Harry Spears saying that was the only thing he was concerned about. So just unfortunate, but managing to hold off Essa for so long, that was a superb drive, Tariq. So congratulations on that. And I'm sure you'll take those championship points quite nicely.
Yeah, it was good. Probably better than I expected. So, yeah.
Well, if this is what you do on a bad day, Mr. Adam, I look forward to seeing what you do on a good day. Hopefully more podiums and a possible win in the future. Ladies and gentlemen, your third. Congratulations once again, Tariq. I'm sure this won't be the last time we chat.
Thank you very much.
Well, there you have it, folks. Those are your winners over there. And of course, none of this would be possible, Dan, without our sponsors at the bottom of your screen over there. You can see all those logos over there, making sure that all of this event is possible. We're waiting for the results to come up on the screen, and then we can see the official results from today's proceedings. Of course, those three gentlemen we spoke to now were the top three drivers, but what a fantastic performance from all of our drivers here. And without bias, Dan, I got to say, Morgan McCall, with the most overtakes today, is certainly up there for
sure. Yeah, he was the most entertaining driver of the day, I think, with all those passes and a great recovery drive. So it was a good day's work from Morgan McCall. And then as far as championship points go, Harry Spears with a hat full of points to go into it with some rivals like George Boothby not on the grid. He's going to be very comfortable going into round 3. So early in the season, only 2 rounds into it. But we're quickly back at it because we've got round 3 next weekend at Spa. So the drivers won't have quite as much time to prepare for that race. And all of a sudden we get to the midpoint of the ATK Pro Series.
Exactly. And remember, there's a drop round as well. So drivers that didn't do that well to capitalize at Spa, the track with an incredibly long pit lane exit and entrance, Dan. I think that's going to really play into next week's racing as well, and also a circuit that drivers might be more suited to for overtaking and trying to gain position. You did mention that circuit is a lot suited to overtaking than Laguna Seca.
Yeah, you're going to loads of passing at Spa, so there won't be any frustrations for some drivers if you stuck behind someone for so long. So we'll see plenty of passing opportunities. Qualifying not quite as important. But yeah, an infamous circuit, and one that also plays a bit of havoc with some weather changes as well. Deep in the forest, it's a little bit like Cape Town, sort of 4 seasons in 1 hour. So
Yeah, depending on where
maybe
you
that'll
are.
come out and maybe that'll come out on Sim as well next weekend. Something to look forward to.
Some inclement weather will be I would be looking forward to some inclement weather, but I'm sure maybe the drivers not so much. And there you have it, folks. There are your points for today. The race standings over there. Piers gets himself 100, but Simon Ietzi got the fastest lap, so that gets an extra point for his trouble over there. Zaire S 91 points today, and this will shuffle the championship standings on its head going into round 3, and that's exactly what we wanted. Dan, from your side, anybody there that we should be watching going into the 3rd round?
No, I think it's close enough, and it's nice to have a couple of winners in 2 races, isn't it? Because it keeps it wide open that anyone there can really put in a run towards the end of this season. And I mean, the winner of the season, I wouldn't want to predict it. You go in there thinking Essa dropping points today, Harry Spears capitalising, Philip Minard showing his hand, and certainly a very much improved driver. So many guys that could come back here, and we're going to have a strong finish to the season, I predict.
Yeah, a strong finish indeed. I'm sure of it. Well, folks, that's going to be all from us for now here at the ATK Pro Series. We're joined by Dan Haynes. Dan, look, you can stick around if you like. I know you got...
No, let's go. Let's wrap it up, please. Let's wrap it up, please. I've got the start of the F1 on pause, so if we can just wrap this up.
Okay, folks, we're going to wrap this up. Enjoy the Formula 1, folks. We'll see you guys at... Until then, goodbye.